Welcome to Baseball Biz. I'm Mark Harbit, your host, and with me is Mr. Matt Germain. And you know him from his past experiences, and that's what you have when you're on Baseball Biz, here with us. And we're glad to have him here. He's a great analyst with baseball overall, and certainly even a deeper dive with everything that goes on with the Rays. Well, Matt, it's postseason, everything's cooking, and I don't know what to think, brother. The world's been turned upside down on me.
Yeah, you're not alone. I think everybody's freaking out about the format now that a lot of big teams have been ousted. I don't think they need to panic on anything, but it's probably going to get tweaked because of the results they're getting.
It almost has to. I found it amusing. I looked the other day at Fox Sports, something from about a week ago, and who they had as far as which 12 teams would still be there at some point. And amazingly enough, the last three were the ones who were still there, with 8 teams still left in the postseason at that point. And I thought, okay, you put the top 3 at the bottom. I said, okay, and vice versa. So I was curious, but right now here we are. We should have 4 teams that are ready to go to the finals in the postseason. They're going into the conference series, but as of this moment, and we are Tuesday evening at about 7:00. The Yankees are playing Cleveland, gone through 2 other rain dates that they couldn't make, and the American League Division Series starts tomorrow in Houston.
Yep, I think Houston's going to be laughing in this one because not only was it hard for the Yankees to get out of Cleveland apparently, but it was also the delayed, the this, the that. They're going to have a little bit of a party if they win today. So getting over to Houston's fresh. They've got a much deeper staff to begin with. So it's going to be tough on those Yankee hitters compared to what it's going to be for the pitchers. Anyway, the pitchers are pretty much set, I think, in the rotation for the Yankees when they move on. I think it's going into the 9th now. It's one of those series I definitely will not be watching, to be quite honest. I just get sick to my stomach every time I see both those franchises. So I couldn't care less who comes out on the American League side. I will be watching diligently on the National League side, 2 teams that I think have earned their way there and have done it in really opposite manners, but very aggressive in both styles anyway.
I'm looking forward to that too. I told my brother today, I have no league loyalty. It's just forget it, brother. There's nobody there. If Cleveland got it, then I would be excited. I would be interested in that. But if it's Yankees and Astros, no. I mean, both those leave a bad taste in my mouth. And someone just sent me a text here a moment ago. That must be shot from the game. It said New York Yankees 54-0 in home postseason games when leading by 4+ runs.
Huh. Wow. That's a good stat.
I like it. It'd be nice if they held it up to 55 games.
I do want to give a shout out though to even though I won't be watching this series, there are players on both teams that I do respect and I do think, bring their fan bases in. Like Nestor Cortes is a good example from tonight. He's one of those players that I have a lot of respect for. I think he goes out there, he does it the right way. He doesn't seem like he has that cocky style attitude like some of the other ones do. And I think that helps, that softens the franchise overall. So it makes them a tiny little bit more likable, right?
Yeah. And the new guy, who is it Oswaldo?
Yep, Cabrera.
He's still new, so I don't hate him yet.
Yeah.
No.
You'll get there, buddy. You'll get there.
Oh, gosh, I'm telling you. And, it is interesting. When I was listening to the game on the radio, and I heard, Aaron Hicks is having trouble still out there, man. He can't coordinate anything when it comes to balls coming out that part of the field.
What's going on? It's like he's lost control of all his limbs. Every time that he gets out there, something happens. He twists, he turns, he this, he that. I don't know. Like at some point, he's going to have to decide whether or not he wants to keep playing, because if he keeps going this way, he's not going to be able to walk when he retires.
Yeah. Yeah, he and Gardner ought to find a place to settle down together, because it's just getting to be too difficult for him. And man, I mean, what was it? It was a young guy again, Cabrera and Donaldson. It was almost a 3-man pileup out there for the ball. But
yeah,
it gave a hint to Cleveland to think, oh my gosh, we got something, we got a man on base, but and it's sad. I mean, you certainly don't want to see anybody injured to get somebody on base, but it goes to the coordination of what's going on with the team out there. I mean, Matt, you and I have talked about this before about you can call the ball. You and I, or we go out to watch our kids in the Little League. Hey, somebody calls the ball, you hear it clear across the park.
Yeah.
Exciting game like this with over 40,000, probably 48,000 people in that stadium. Who's going to hear that?
You have to use your peripheral vision a little bit. Like, there was a play in the was it the Rays series where somebody was running? Yeah, it was the Randy Rosarena play, I think. And nobody was taking their eyes off. Nobody was, looking to see what was happening in front of them. And I was just like, why? Why does that happen? Like, you've got to just take that peek because it's your body. You're the one that's going to have to survive. And like you said, if you're not hearing anything and they're aggressive, I think Bo Bichette was another one with George Springer, where Springer wasn't even yelling at all. Like, they had the video, was looking. I was like, no, he's not yelling for it. Bo wasn't yelling for it. So I was like, yeah, that's just, I don't know, taking that little peek, especially somebody as fragile as George is nowadays and at his age, to take that second, then find a ball again, because it could save your career.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, those could be career enders. I mean, today they had to take Hicks off the field. He walked out, because I had radio, so I couldn't see, but it sounded like it took quite a while. And all that, while that's going on too, I'm thinking about how difficult that can be for a pitcher. Nestor Cortes is up there pitching, and he has to sit and wait for 2 or 3 minutes for all that to resolve. And any pitcher who's worth their salt, they get into a zone. They've got to focus, and those kind of eruptions can really change things for you. But Nestor, he seemed to be doing just fine out there with it.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. I say career enders because when I think of Bo Bichette, when he started out in the league, he had some concussion issues. So you take one of those concussions and all of a sudden you're in Justin Morneau territory where things start going downhill really fast, and there isn't much you can do in a game like baseball when it comes to concussions.
Yeah.
Once they're a serious issue, because the violent swinging and all the stuff that you do on the bases and whatnot, it doesn't make any sense to keep playing. So I don't know. They're like all year long, I think, because of the Rays and the way that they've run the bases and done a lot of the small things, the fundamentals of the game seem to be getting lost a lot of the time. I don't know how you fix these things, because like you said, noise is noise. So it's convincing the guys that it's worthwhile to peak and that you can find the ball again. It's not always that, easy to sell them on it, I guess.
Well, we got to treat them like the MLB, the show. We got to have them all hooked up where we can change things. Each one has their own pitch comment in their ear. They can hear from somebody from the dugout say, "Get move, look out, he's coming," whatever. Yeah. I don't know. It's dangerous. It's a crazy game. I love it. It still amazes me. I don't want to digress too much, but I was watching something on Nolan Ryan the other day, and I think, man, that guy, he hit you. He hit you. And you talk about injuries. I think, good Lord, anytime anybody went up to bat with that man, I mean, they were in fear of their life. And he never got the kind of guff that, say, somebody like Aroldis Chapman has. I mean, two different eras and two different things that are acceptable. And I'm not holding up Aroldis Chapman as any kind of hero. I'm just saying that the fire is a lot hotter these days for pitchers who will attempt to have that kind of play where they're throwing in and can be dangerous and have concussions for players. It's a dangerous thing.
It is.
All right, let's pull back here a bit and say, what is happening with who's left? Phillies and Padres. You said that's one you're going to watch, and I think I'm going to be watching that as well. What are you looking for there? What do you think?
Well, I'm wondering if this is the series where the D starts to catch up to the Phillies, because yes, they've improved in some areas defensively because of changes they've made at shortstop, third base, and then in center field in particular. But I think you start getting into these series where the margin of error is very tight, and you're starting to, micromanage every single aspect of the game, and then everything shows up a little bit brighter. So I'm wondering if this is the time when it shows up, and how how much weight has Juan Soto taken off of the Padres front office in these, like, he's finally gotten them over that hump of getting over the Dodgers, which is just like they don't really need to do anything from this point on, and they've already succeeded at slaying that devil, right? So for them, I think they're going to have less pressure because of that.
Yeah.
Whereas for the Phillies, yes, Bryce Harper is happy to be in the next round. Mike Trout's at home. He's playing in the playoffs with his supposed team, right, from his hometown. So he's having fun with them. And so he's loosey-goosey that way. But I don't think Bryce is going to be satisfied until he has a ring on his finger. So, and the same thing goes with a lot of the other Phillies. They're happy to be there, because if you would have asked anybody in the NL East, Braves, Mets, Phillies, which one's going to be last, to standing, the very few, if any, would have picked the Phillies to be there.
I know I would. I mean, you got Bryce Harper. That's what I thought at the beginning of the year. That's nice. What else you got going for you? I mean, when you're looking at the Mets and you're looking at the Braves, and I, hope beyond hope, I was looking for the Braves to move forward, because my ties with the Rays, and looking and saying, okay, Darno and Charlie Morton, I want to see you guys succeed. If we're not going to be there, I want to see you guys succeed. So it was sad to see them, not continue on, but it was great to see the Mets not make it either.
There's two on every team left, though. So on the Phillies, you have Alvarado and you've got Bellotti, which were both Rays. And then on the Padres, you've got Cronenworth and Snell. So either way, you were golden with two on each.
It's true. Will Myers, wasn't he with his back?
Will Myers too. Yeah, he's got three on the Padres, right? Yeah. So there's quite a few. I mean, the only way it could have been better is if the Brewers had made it in.
Oh yeah, I mean, we always got somebody to root for. The longer, like I said, the longer you're with this game, you're going to find somebody that you like somewhere. Yeah. But it's going to be crazy. I'm excited about it. It was sad. It was sad seeing the season come to an end. And I did go out to watch Shane and Shane face one another. They had a nice big old park out there and a projection screen. It was kind of a watch party that the Rays put together down by the water. And go on, man. That's it was good to see both those guys pitch as well as they did. And both of the games that we lost, they were not. I felt like the team still did a good job all in all, but daggone it, man, Matt, when I look at the offense and I would see some things, Yandy, at one time I saw him running at first, but he wasn't running at first, man. He was like trotting there. And it was like, I felt like these guys on offense had just given up.
Yeah, there was a lot that was frustrating. First of all, the guys didn't seem to be pulling for each other the way they normally did. There was a lack of grit, a serious lack of grit. And I attributed that in one of my tweets. Like I was saying, when they traded Joey Wendell and then they lost KK and they lost Zanino and they lost they lost the grit of the team. And Mike Brasso was another one. Like those kind of guys that play every game with a high intensity. There was no intensity in any Rays player during both of those games at the plate. If there was intensity, it was nervous energy. And they came across that way where they were holding their bats so tight because they wanted to hit a home run every time that they didn't really have the time to process everything. And I still believe the Randy Yandy thing is real. There's something wrong there. And oddly enough, both of them were part of the 12 worst base runners in the league this year. And to me, that is what killed the season when it came to momentum. It got people frustrated all the time, and they killed the rallies. They weren't able to score that one run to get back into it. They weren't able to have the big inning, yada, yada, yada. And I think that falls a lot on the staff as well, not willing to put boundaries on guys in certain situations. And then so those frustrations kept building and building and building, and injuries kept piling up, and people didn't feel right. They were lying about injuries, yada, yada, yada. So you look at the season as a whole, and you get to that point where you have Kevin Cash before the playoffs saying we need to stop playing like shit. Well, I mean, It came right out of the horse's mouth, right? Like they knew where they stood. It was simple as that.
Yeah, I saw some of the postseason remarks from Neander and Cash, and there wasn't anything there that gave me hope. Said, yes, this is a great team. We're very proud of what we did with them, and there's a lot of things to come. But there was more of a apologetic type of voice, and much as you said, looking for grit, looking for somebody that's going to put their entire energy into it. And I think of Harold. And if I was thinking if there's one person that you said, well, who might have that be? I would say, well, Harold. And I can't tell you exactly on those two games what he did or didn't do, but I thought he had the most energy, and Peralta as well. Okay, but there was no Willie
role players like they're. So I don't know if because Harold had so much success early on, the Rays ended up overvaluing him as the season went along.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's okay to enjoy hitters when they're really hot and they're doing really well, and to keep them on the team because they are, decent players, but not like Harold. I don't think is an everyday player, and they treated him like that because of the situation they were in and because he had such a strong first half. And I think the same is true of David Peralta. I think it would have been better to keep Josh Lowe up with the Rays because he had a strong July. He would have had more base running, more to learn because you knew you weren't going to go and win it all anyway, even with David Peralta, right? So I enjoyed David Peralta. I think he's a solid player. He has good energy. He's one of those guys, like you said, he's got a bit of that grit, but it's just underwhelming, I guess is the point. It's underwhelming overall. And I have to sit back in this offseason after they missed out on Freddie Freeman and they had this bitter taste in their mouth from this season and wonder, where did they go? Like, what's next? Because they're angry and they're loaded when it comes to prospects. They have a roster they want to change over. Where do they go next? It's going to be fun.
Well, you gave a list, I think it was today, if you thought of some people that they should look at. And see, do you have that in front of you, by the way? Take it up.
Well, I can just go off the top of my head. Like just the Dalton Varsho is one of the guys. And I'll just say this, like Dalton Varsho is not going to be easy to get. The reason I'm targeting him is one, versatility. Two, the D-backs have an extremely deep outfield depth, including some young guys are trying to fit onto the roster. And he's one of their older players who isn't really, even though he had a great season, he's not really vital to their long-term future, right? So I think he would be attainable because they want to improve their pitching and the Rays have it, and they want to improve their middle infield. The Rays have that. I think there's a match when it comes to actually getting the two together. So that's one of the first names. And in terms of the Rays, the way they could use him is because they have Jose Siri in center field. He could be the left-handed option in center field. And then help them out still behind the plate, help them out at first base, left field, right field. He would give them a lot of options and give them that other left-handed bat that they can pair with Josh Lowe next year and have a solid, core that they can build around for a few years anyway. I don't know. It's one of those things where I want to dream on somebody like Shohei Ohtani because that report just came out from MLBTR, but 30 million is a lot. And the Rays don't really have that piece to send over there to balance the deal out. So instead, I went with guys like Josh Bell, Trey Mancini, Jose Abreu, who I think can solidify and give him that bat at first base that has experience and that probably won't need a long-term deal. And that when the first baseman does show up, like a Kyle Manzardo or a Curtis Mead, or somebody really wants to grab onto that job, then they can throw whatever player it is into the DH role as well and bounce them back and forth as they need. I also added Austin Slater and Adam Duvall because I think Both of them can handle center field really well. They're both another right-handed bat that if they do trade Randy Arozarena, which I think is possible, then can slide into that left field role as a right-handed bat as well, and kind of give him that option. And Jose Azocar is a guy that I think is a perfect fit for the Rays style. I just don't know that now that they have Jose Siri, they necessarily need him. But I threw him out there because he's exactly the type of player they love. I wouldn't be surprised if the Padres and Rays end up making a deal for him. So when the last two I had on my list were Yuri Perez and Max Meyer, because if the Rays are going to deal Randy Arozarena, I think that one of the best places to do it would be with the Marlins, who need offense like there's nobody's business. So I think that's the fit there, and if it happens, but again, they need to meet their price because the Rays aren't just going to give away Randy Arozarena, and they need to replace that offense if they do. So it was one of those that I threw in there. Maybe they go, and the Rays are always going to be looking for pitching depth. I know people are going to say, "Well, we have the pitching staff." Shane McClanahan could be gone in spring training, and we don't know, right? Like there's always that fear. And as somebody like Yuri Perez, for instance, can start off in AAA and then be an available option. You pair him with Taj Bradley, that's depth that you can't really build anywhere else or find anywhere else. So that was the other one. And I threw in a wild card, which I kind of like because the Rays are always looking to add, like a Nick Anderson was a good example of a guy, a reliever. And Hunter Harvey, to me, is one of those guys that really showed he can be a dominant reliever this year. And I don't think it's just because of the team he was playing on. I think he was pitching aggressively, not walking anybody, trusting his stuff, and it worked for him. The Rays would love that. So I wouldn't be surprised if they try to bring him on board.
Yeah, we really miss Nick Anderson. And I think, as you maybe told me before, or somebody else said, they saw what he was doing in the minors and said it wasn't what they expected to see from him. And it was actually somebody I met at the Tampa Baseball Museum. But that's sad because, he's a player you really like to see come together there as a relief pitcher. Pete Fairbanks, oh my gosh, I thought, not a blister on your fingers again. My gosh, Pete, he's up here on the mound, a guy who's intensity. You talk about intensity and grit. He could share a little of that. He's got so much. It oozes out of him on the mound. And it was just so painful to see him where he couldn't pitch, in the postseason. Well, he got on the mound, but he had that going on with his hand. So hopefully that's going to be well. But we do need somebody else like that. And what you said about Randy Arozarena, I too believe that there's something with Yandy and Randy, and you're going to have to get rid of one of them or both. I don't know. I mean, if they can't get together, if there's going to be some kind of negativity between them, it's just going to spiral out. We don't have a Willie Damas. We don't have a Brett Phillips there who's going to be a cheerleader, holding hands and getting everybody to do the kumbaya. Those people are gone. Closest one to doing that is Peralta right now, I think. And
he's a free agent. He's not with the team anymore.
Yeah. Yep.
So.
There you go. Duh factor. Thank you. Well, then obviously there's room. There's room for a lot of change. And I'm really going to.
Jose Abreu can be that guy that bridges people together. And he's Cuban, which they happen to be as well, both of them. So maybe he can bridge the make it more amicable. But I think both of them are very set in their ways and kind of they're very good at their jobs. They do work extremely hard and they want to succeed. And when they don't succeed the way that they wish they could, so it could just be a seasons kind of thing. But what I always pay attention to what Mark Tompkins says. It doesn't mean it's going to happen, because he brought up KK as a trade piece for 5, 6, 7, 10 years, and it never happened. So even though he's mentioning Randy Arozarena as a potential trade candidate, doesn't mean it's going to happen. But the Rays do talk to Mark to say, hey, throw this out there because we might be shopping him in a way. They don't literally say that, but he gets that sort of information, and then it kind of sends the message out to the league that if they want to make offers, by all means they can But I think first what you're going to see is a lot of small deals preparing for the Rule 5 draft, and then we'll see how it looks after that. But I'm sure they're going to be so fun to watch. By December, you're going to have at least one, maybe two big pieces that have come aboard and possibly left. So it'll be fun.
I like that Shohei Ohtani deal, man. Go ahead. And
I don't know financially, man. I don't know.
And even when you mentioned Trey Mancini, that would be interesting. Adam Duvall, after seeing all that he did, with the Braves and during their World Series run, it's amazing to watch people like that and say, okay, he's going to continue to be good. So I don't know, brother. I'm ready to go ahead and start next season. I'm ready for 2023 right now. So, it's maybe 20 weeks before that we've got the spring training in front of us and we can start talking about that. But
always take it step by step. I always look at the next, I look at the Rule 5 now and the winter leagues, right? Like the Rays are sending 5 guys to the ABL. They've got some playing in the winter league and the lead-on league. So I look at that. You just had the AFL where Mason Hour did freaking amazing and kind of put himself on the map. I think he's going to break into some top 100 lists pretty soon. And he's one of those electric players. The Rays I listed it the other day where they have 13 prospects in double-digit steals and home runs. All of them are young. All of them are really, athletic players that are going to be fun to see exactly how the Rays work around them. And 3 of them are at the upper levels, like Brett Wisely, Oslevis Basabe, and Ronnie Simone, who also played in the AFL. So it's going to be interesting to see. Ronnie Simone is that one guy nobody knows about, and he damn well should based on what he did. Over 20 home runs and over 30 stolen bases. The guy is just, full of potential, and he plays 3-4 positions.
Oh wow.
So yeah, it's one of those prospects that sneaks up on people when you talk about him and they're just like, oh really, he did all that? So yeah, it'll be fun.
Well, remember folks, Matt said it right here. What's Mr. Simone, right? So we keep an eye out for him, and looking forward to see that happen. Like I said, looking forward to a new year. You're giving us some hope, brother. I mean, and
that's what the prospects do, man. That's why they're like the bright ray of light in the darkness.
Well, let's see what happens with the Rule 5 draft. Maybe we can talk again sometime soon, and maybe get a little better handle what's coming up for spring training next year.
Sounds good, man. Anytime.
All right. We've been talking with Matt Germain, and that's you can find him on Twitter at Matt MAT_Germain, GERMAIN_, and that's on Twitter. And Matt, I can't help but thank you again, brother. You're always sharing a lot of good information out there, not just about the Rays, but overall. And I love it how deep you dig and show us what's going on from the minor leagues, prospects, et cetera. So thank you very much, brother. It's always great having you here on Baseball Biz.
Not a problem at all, and enjoy the next series.
All right, brother. Okay. Thank you again for joining us here today on Baseball Biz. And we look forward to talking with you all again real soon. And remember, you can find Baseball Biz here. You can also find it on Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, Spotify. Anywhere there's podcasts, you'll find Baseball Biz. Special thanks to XTake RUX for the music rocking forward.